go from there. Hi, everybody. I am not Coptic. I don't know how to do things in a nice, orderly fashion. I was raised very chaotically, and so I have kind of a chaotic personality. So we're just doing this. We're gonna have fun. Sound good? Cool. My name is Austin Walker, for those of you that you don't know. I'm a software developer. I work for a company down in downtown Texas, Austin, Texas, downtown Texas. And I make programs for people to use. This is my only qualification to talk about what we're going to talk about today. I am about to become a parent, but I have not had to install parental controls for my own children yet. I have not been a parent. So, for questions about parenthood, I'm going to defer to parents in this room. For questions about technology, I'm your guy. For questions about the psychology of raising children, I have one amazing friend, Dr. Joseph Bashara here, who is qualified and able to answer your questions. Sound good? If a question overlaps all three, we will encourage people to interject. Cool? This talk is called Parental Controls. However, it is not just going to talk about parental controls. It's really going to talk about devices, and it's going to talk about why we need parental controls, what we mean when we say parental controls, and God willing, we create a culture here in this church and a community that doesn't need parental controls, which is the goal. Cool? So that is the point of this talk. First things, this talk supposes one very important truth superseding everything we're going to talk about today, and that is love. Love has to be the goal of everything we're doing with devices, everything we do at home, with ourselves, with our friends, with our family. I don't need to talk about that. That's a Luna's job. He does that every week. That's God. He's working through us. But I need to clarify. If a question today or in your mind about parental controls is, yeah, but I think the loving thing to do would be this, go with that. Don't worry about what I say at all. Cool? There's going to be a lot of agreements I'm going to ask for you guys to make with me today. Love is important, and it's more important than everything I say. Sound good? Yes. Appreciate it. I love this verse. This is a suggestion from Dr. Bashara. If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask of him? We know what we want for our kids. I know what I want for baby Hudson. I know what we're here looking for. It's how do we get it, and what is that going to entail of us? But more than that, asking God to help us and to give us what, and knowing that he will give to us what we need. So let's start off with a little game. I need everybody to stand up. Okay, I have a question to you. What's more dangerous? Sharks on this side of the room, hippos on that side of the room. If you think sharks are more dangerous, stay on this side of the room. If you think hippos are more dangerous, walk over to the other side of the room. We are playing a game. You're going to be moving around again. Don't worry about it. So you might as well commit to the game. You think sharks are more dangerous? Come over here. You think hippos are more dangerous? Go over there. Nope, I've just lost it. Wait. Can I get your help? Can you come and be my presenter for the iPad so it doesn't fall asleep? She is a hippo, by the way. Okay. She's not a hippo, she's a teen hippo. She's just pregnant, don't be mean to her. Okay, so the answer is hippos! Team Hippo, give yourself a round of applause, Team Sharks. Womp womp. Hippos. Hippos come in at around 500, probably more, fatalities a year. That's insane. Hippos are vegetarians. They are not omnivores. They're not carnivores, but they have more fatalities than sharks. And sharks only count for about 6 casualties per year. You're gonna have to put your finger on this. All right, you can sit down. I'll make you stand up here in a second. Any guesses as to why? Why are hippos more dangerous, about 100 times more dangerous than sharks? Guesses from the back.
Because I live on Earth, so had the opportunity and gave me many things.
Yeah, you live on Earth. Sharks live in the sky. No, you live on Earth, and hippos live on the land.
Yeah.
Sharks live in the water, right? And so, unless you're regularly going into shark territory, this is probably the case. You're probably gonna be fine. Sharks aren't gonna get you. The hippos, however, really territorial creatures. They really like defending their territory, and they will chase you down. And they can run in the water 30 miles an hour. Yes, terrifying. Okay, everybody stand up. Next question. Humans on the left, mosquitoes on the right. I hope nobody read that. Humans on the left, mosquitoes on the right. Go. Mosquitoes on the right, humans on the left. I'm on the left currently, over here. Which one's more dangerous, humans or mosquitoes? We're saying 2 humans. Which ones are more dangerous? Humans are more dangerous? This is the mosquito side. Do you want to be on the human side? You want me to sit on the mosquito side? All right, let's see that answer. Mosquitoes, yeah. So mosquitoes, kind of a weird answer. Mosquitoes don't actually themselves, generally speaking, kill anybody. They are a secondary cause to people being hurt, and that's because they spread disease. So mosquitoes are more dangerous. They spread, the cause about 1 million deaths per year, direct cause of death, that's secondary direct cause of death, about 1 million people a year. And humans only account for about 500,000 to 600,000 people per year on average. That's a very sad number. Sorry we're talking about deaths so early in this conversation, but there you go. But 2 conversations. Why are mosquitoes more dangerous than humans? Question. They love the blood.
Numbers,
Numbers? What kind of numbers?
they're lots.
Humans are about 8 billion, and you guess what mosquitoes are about? Almost in the trillions. Mosquitoes are about 500 billion. Yeah, lots of mosquitoes. Okay, and mosquitoes, where are they? In Texas, probably in the church right now. Everywhere, right? Mosquitoes are everywhere. Humans are most places, mosquitoes are everywhere. Anywhere there's standing water, you're gonna find mosquitoes. Okay, and mosquitoes have a secondary issue, which is that they carry disease. So now we're not just talking about danger because we wandered into a hippo's territory, we're talking about a secondary issue. The mosquitoes are everywhere and they carry disease, right? Now we're thinking one step further, okay? I want to talk about one step further than that today. I want to talk about something, which is a question, if you're here, you're probably asking, which is, hey software guy, are devices dangerous?
Yes.
Is a hammer dangerous? Can be. Is a car dangerous? Is a rock dangerous? Can be. I have a buddy. He's an electrical engineer, and he has done some stuff for satellites. Very cool guy. And he has a very funny saying that was told to him by a professor, which is devices, included, are just rocks that we tricked into thinking by putting lightning in them. This is just a rock. If it runs out of juice, it's only good for throwing at somebody. That's it. That's all this thing can do. Or sitting on something. It's just a fancy rock. So, are devices dangerous? It depends. And we all are aware of that, so let's talk about that. What kind of dangers that these devices pose to us? These devices do pose some kind kinds of dangers. I'm going to address some of these so that you can start thinking about them. I am not going to go in depth into any of these ideas tonight. I'm not going into depth on any of these ideas tonight, but I want you to know that some of these exist so you can start thinking about them. First off is the concept of stimulation and effort. We're going to talk a little bit about this, just so we can get a conversation going in our families and with friends, but that's it. Second is understanding the impact that devices have on depression and anxiety. There are lots of reasons depression and anxiety here in the Western culture exist and are prevalent and throughout the world. Devices are not the only cause, but they are a contributing factor. And it's a conversation that needs to be held within family units, within our community, with each other, and minimally with friends here at church. It's a conversation to bring up every now and again and to start hearing what people have to say, gaining wisdom from each other, and alerting each other. Hey, you know what? I've been reading a lot of the news on my phone recently, and I don't feel good. Should I stop reading the news? Like getting that affirmation from each other that we might need. Or I've been listening to the wrong radio programs. Do you have a better suggestion for me to listen to? Something like that. So just depression and anxiety do exist, and we need to understand that devices are a contributing factor to this. There is an issue with self-regulation. Who here, by show of hands, wishes they would use their phone less? Oh, look at that. It's about 85% of you. Solid amount. Why do 85% of us here who are Orthodox, like we know we have disciplines, we all do fasting for 2 months or more, like we have discipline. Why do all of us or 85% of us wish we would use it less, but we aren't using it less? It's because there is something in devices that specifically taps into the desire for a lack of self-regulation. So we're going to talk a little bit about that today. And lastly, something I want to talk about, which is called, I'm calling becoming cyborgs. Anybody know what a cyborg is? Not the DC character from the comics?
Yeah, I don't.
What's the cyborg?
A robot.
Half human, half
Part human, part robot. The hand button on it, come on. The eyes weren't big. Sorry. Part human, part robot. What does that mean? If I'm hanging out with you and you forget your wallet somewhere, you forget your wallet, and we're sitting down, maybe having a meal, and you forget your wallet, and we're walking out of the restaurant, what do you do? Guys in the room, what do you guys do?
Go back to the restaurant. Oh.
Anybody else play the pocket game? Check all your pockets?
Hold on, check.
Okay. But guys, especially you guys, when we forget things, we'll check our pockets. We're not carrying a purse around, we're not doing that kind of thing. If you forget your hand at the table, yes, if you forget your hand at the table and you walk away from the table, what do you notice right away? You feel like your hand is missing. Yeah, maybe there's some new color coming out of your arm, but you feel like your hand is missing. Okay, who here feels like when they've left their phone in another room, that a part of their body is missing? Not just their wallet is missing, but a part of who they are is missing. I got one hand up, got another hand up, got another, right? It's kind of weird, right? You know that it shouldn't be the case, but you don't feel like you've left your keys somewhere. You feel like you left a part of yourself somewhere. Like you go to the bathroom, you didn't bring your phone with you or something like I got a lot of people laughing, I've got you all being honest, thank you. Okay, so becoming cyborgs. We are, as a species, becoming cyborgs. We are carrying around with us this new electric limb, if you will. And that's, I don't know, good, bad, and it's not a part of who we are as a humanity. It's not a part of our spirit, it's not a part of our soul, but it is a part of how we interact with the world, like my hands, like my feet, like my eyes. So just something to know about. Again, we're not going to get into this today. It's a conversation to have with family. It's a conversation to have with friends. It's a conversation to have with Laguna. It's a conversation to have with people you respect, whose wisdom you want to seek counsel. Just something to think about. Maybe you all will become the people that the next generation comes up and asks questions about this from. Cool? All right, so that's the human impact. Any questions? Any comments? Love it. Let's talk about stimulation and effort. I am not going to give this justice. We're not going to go super in depth into this, but I do want to talk about the nature of stimulants. What are stimulants and what costs us effort? Comes from inspiration from Dr. Joseph Bashara. For more questions about this, please focus your questions to him. Things that are stimulating. Drugs. Right? We all understand something about the nature of illegal substances here in America, and that the reason that they are illegal, the reason that they are dangerous, is not because they make you feel terrible and because they get rid of everything. It's because they take away your humanity by replacing it with something. By replacing it with something that you shouldn't be having that easily. But things that can also be stimulating is medicine. For myself, going through depression, there were times that a stimulant was required to get me to be a stable member of society. And I needed to actively participate and go to work and create a stable life so that I could eventually be off of those stimulants. Getting out and doing exercise, aerobics, cardiovascular. Get it up, get out there, get that heart rate up. These things are stimulating. Romance. Who here has not yet gotten a reservation for a restaurant for this next week? Hint, hint, wink, wink. Hobbies. I like working on cars. Can I hear some hobbies that are out in the crowd? Baking. Baking?
Reading.
Reading. Reading's a great one.
Coin collecting.
Coin collecting. Baking. Hiking. Love hiking. Writing. Selling shoes to your friends.
Gardening.
Painting, gardening.
Knitting.
Knitting. Hobbies. Crochet. Things that we like to do. What? Crochet. Things that we like to do because they bring us joy, but they also bring us a sense of like, hey, I can get into tomorrow, things are going to be okay. There's a natural stimulation to working through our hobbies. Friends and family. How important is it to be around friends and family? Can I ask a real question? Can I ask a real question from the Coptic people in the crowd and others? I have a crazy uncle. When I go to sit down at a meal with all my family, I have one crazy uncle and he says all the crazy things. Is that a thing that exists in all families?
Yes.
Like, is there always a crazy uncle?
Doesn't have to be the uncle.
Or a crazy aunt?
Yeah.
Am I the crazy uncle? Is that what I'm getting from the vibe right now? Like, yes, Austin, that's you. All right, we're gonna move on from that one. Danger. From what I've been told, this is more of a white people thing. That like we like to find dangerous situations because life is not stimulating enough. Like we go skydiving and like we go and do race cars and like that kind of stuff. But like Coptic people are like, that's fine. I don't want to deal with it. Tell us.
No, they do.
They do?
They do. No.
What's the Coptic danger? What is it? You guys like go and play with the crocodiles? Like what's
Spicy food.
spicy food? That's dangerous.
Stop studying before midnight.
Oh my gosh. What? Are there like danger stories of the children who don't study for tests? Like the shibboleth flies through the air and hits them in the head. I want to know. Obviously, I'm practicing for my Orthodox stand-up routine right now.
Not eating everything on the table.
Not eating everything on the table, not like leaving leftovers.
Yeah, that's dangerous.
All right, we're gonna leave that last one for a second. Well, maybe not. Discovery, going hiking, finding something new, finding a new hobby to do, learning something deeper about something that you already enjoy, coming into a new understanding. Discovery, very important concept. One of the reasons that I don't do this enough, we should be reading the Bible more and more, is because you keep coming into new levels of discovery the more you get into the scriptures. Very important part. And it's not just like 1 step, 2 step, 3. It's like step 1, step 10, step 100, step 1,000. It's magnitudes. Cool. All right, I'm spending a lot of time on this. We're just talking about these ideas. Effort, things that take effort. Me and my ADHD brain never did homework. That is why I dropped out of college. And if you want to stop listening to me now because of that, that's fine. Me too. Homework, never did it. Took too much effort. It was easy to get A's on tests anyway, so. Chores. I never made my bed. I was great at dishes though. That's why I ended up as a dishwasher at a restaurant. Sitting still. Guesses on that one. Mental effort. Who here has done something that was so mentally taxing that they felt their body getting tired because it was so mentally taxing? I guess like all of the mothers in the room should probably like raise their hands. And maybe all the wives, just dealing with husbands, I don't know. I'm a husband.
Very easy.
Listening to others. Truly listening to others actually takes effort. And I'm guilty of this. I will think of what to say next instead of listening to what somebody is saying. And it takes a lot of effort to listen to others. Can I get some help from the crowd? What are things that take real effort? Repentance. Yeah, emotional effort, physical effort,
Love.
mental effort, love.
Continue in something good I decide to do.
Continuing in something good decided to do.
Parenting.
Parenting,
Patience.
patience, being present, gardening. Anyone from the back? I had some really good suggestions back there. All right. The last one, really important, and it has something that goes with it that's deeply important, which is the nature of learning. Learning. As we learn and we grow in our learning and we stay continual learners, it takes immense effort. And actually, I don't know if you know this, I think it used to be like common knowledge that like children are really good at learning languages and that you should try to learn as many languages as possible when you're young. Does everybody here know that that's completely not true? That it's actually easier to learn languages as you get older? It has nothing to do with the formation of your brain. It has everything to do with activating neuroplasticity. The more you learn, the easier it becomes to learn, even as you get older. It's one of the things that provides wisdom. Wisdom becomes this effort of constantly learning. As you learn, you create a reward feedback loop into discovery, which becomes a stimulant, which helps you to learn, which gives you a reward to give you discovery, which becomes learning, which rewards you with discovery. And this stimulation feedback loop is really important to us as humans, and it's why, even though we can all fall into these patterns, we can all notice when somebody has been doing this continually for decades, and we can all notice when somebody hasn't done this at all in a long time. And that might not be something we're like judging, it's just something you might just notice every now and again.
Is learning the only one from that?
Is learning the only one from that list that acts eventually as a reward to push us over into the stimulation?
No, they are all that way. And everything, every good thing requires effort. And so the effortful things, the wallet for me was a symbol of paying attention, making effort. Whereas the stimulating things were things that give you attention. So family. Yes, so yes, but if we do it correctly, the concentration, the homework, the chores, the sitting still, the mental effort, the listening to others, the effort to make learning will yield things that are stimulating. We develop friends and family, we develop our discoveries. We should challenge ourselves in dangerous but exciting, hopefully healthy ways. Romance, those are things that are all things that we can build. Those are relationships. And so it's like tending the garden together. I said gardening for both of them. I like gardening as a hobby, but also gardening as an effort, and that's because that's the idea. I think a garden is a good analogy for that. Thank you.
Great question.
Yeah. The cycle of rewarding if it's broken. Like you do the chores, you did the dishes, but you feel tired after it. You don't feel rewarded because you did your house is clean.
Mm.
When it's broken, this cycle is a nightmare. So how? And then you did something good for yourself or your house. If you're looking at it this way, you should feel the reward. But in most of the cases, some of these responsibilities or something turns you down. It's not rewarding. It's getting you.
So my answer to that is a question of wisdom. I need the same conversation. Why do I have to change the diaper on my baby? What is possibly rewarding about that? For 20 years, I have to take care of the kid. And the answer is, as we get better, we understand that it takes effort. When we're kids, an effort means 5 minutes. Mom, do I have to? As we get older, it means an hour. A big chore. Maybe more than an hour. Mow the lawn. As it gets bigger, it becomes study for a test. This is a few days. As it gets bigger, it becomes a semester. You study for the final exam. As it gets bigger, you study for the career licensing exam. It takes the whole semester. As it gets bigger and bigger and bigger. And we learn that if we do it correctly, you're right, it can be broken, but if we do it correctly, the goal is that we make the effort and we do the suffering because we know that at the end of the suffering there, we will, what we've sown and labored over, we will also reap the fruit of. But this takes years to develop. And as we get older, my hope is that it is not broken if we don't get rewarded immediately. Although as we're children, if it doesn't get rewarded immediately, yes. Did I give a good answer for your question?
Yeah.
Others here probably have more wisdom than me as well, but that's a thought that I have. This is not a perfect model, it's just a slide out through for us to consider.
I think there's an element of delayed gratification with effort. I think there's an element of delayed gratification with effort that you may not see immediately with stimulus, and that's why stimulus is really potent, because you get the impact immediately. Whereas with effort, as with gardening, as with studying, the cycle takes some time, and you don't see the positive results immediately. Sometimes you do, but
And that's the problem with the illegal drugs, that you didn't earn the stimulation.
right.
That's correct.
The immediacy versus the immediacy on the left versus the delayed gratification on the right.
To quote St. Paul, no discipline seems pleasant at the time, but it's painful. Later on, however, it produces a harvest of righteousness and peace. So it's the same. I couldn't have said it better.
For all of your sakes of time, we're going to move on to the next point, but this next one is essentially the same thing. I have two images here on the screen. I have a few questions about these two images, which I'm not going to have to remember off the top of my head because I don't have minutes. First off, which of these two images, actually, let's do this thing. Let's spend a minute. You guys are probably tired. Everybody stand up. All right, which one, since you want to stand in one place at a time, of these two images will stop a baby from crying? You gotta choose one.
Okay,
All right,
that side?
let's do it.
Wait, what side's that?
Which one of these will stop a baby from crying?
Okay, which side is which? Is just
The one on the left, one on the
One on
right.
the left, one on the right. All right, everybody give yourself a pat on the back. You are all correct. Yeah, you're totally right. Obviously, like, both will stop a baby from crying, right? Right? Like, we're about to have a baby. I'm about to have a baby. We are about to have a baby. Kind of a conversation tonight at home. And we have lots of bottles right now that we haven't utilized, and no pacifiers actually. Now that I think about it, we do. Okay, we got pacifiers. I'm going to be using these a lot with baby Hudson to make sure that he stops crying because I'm going to be very tired. But both of these can stop a baby from crying. Why do both of these stop a baby from crying? Why is a baby crying?
That's what they do.
Yeah, that's their job.
Is their whole thing?
That's the pressure.
Yeah.
Boring, just bored. Just kind of bored.
Wants attention.
Hungry.
They're hungry. Thank you.
Or they're not playing.
Hungry or something else. Yeah.
Or anything else.
Yeah. They're hungry. And these two things will satiate them. Okay, everybody stand back up. Sorry. Not sorry. I'm making you do it. This is fun. I'm gonna make sure everybody stood up. Okay. Of these two things, which one of them is nourishing? Nourishing means will give sustenance to maintain life. Which one of these two things is nourishing? Sustenance to maintain life.
See ya.
Not a whole lot of debate on that one. Yeah, okay, so one of these is nourishing. Why is everybody on one side of the church and not on the other side of the church? What's the nature of these two things? One of them has food, and one of them doesn't. All right, everybody go back to your spots.
That's a good exercise. Thank you.
You're welcome. I actually planned this whole talk with this, like standing up and moving around, and everyone told me not to do it, and I'm having a blast.
Do that during the lecture.
All right, I have a question. If baby Hudson is crying, and I give him the pacifier, what will happen? He might stop. Okay, if baby Hudson starts crying again, for an hour later, and I give him the pacifier, what will happen? If baby Hudson keeps crying for the next day, and I only ever give him the pacifier, what happens?
He's gonna say his first
If
word.
baby Hudson only gets the pacifier for a week, what happens?
He's going to cry.
Not good.
Yeah, not good.
And after a fair amount of time, if I never give him the bottle, he never gets access to Nicole, what happens?
Stop crying.
He'll stop crying.
Yeah.
Welcome to devices. I have some quotes. I would have them as animated. They're kind of interesting. They were going to be cooler because you couldn't see when they were made, but here you go. Check this one out. The existence of mental and nervous degeneration among a growing class of people, especially in large cities, is an obvious phenomenon. The mania for stimulants, diseases of the mind, are almost as numerous as the diseases of the body. The intellectual condition is characterized by a brain incapable of normal working, in a large measure due to the hurry and excitement of modern life, with its facilities for rapid locomotion and almost instantaneous communication between remote points of the globe. People in the back who can't see the thing next to it, when do you think that quote was written?
The Industrial Revolution.
Okay, and Carius is ruining my point. Anybody else? You might be wrong.
It sounds like now.
It sounds like now. Who else thinks it sounds like now? Instantaneous points in the globe, like growing class of people, especially in large cities, who have a mania for stimulants. Sounds like the 80s. Sounds like Miami. Abuna's the only one who laughed at that joke, and everybody else felt weird about it. I'm just saying, like, he laughed. That was written in 1895. That observation about people getting instantaneous relief, instantaneous gratification, this thought about the next generation, this fear for what's going to happen, that was written in 1895. These other ones were written in 1991 and 1906, very similar. This isn't the first time this has happened. So you're worried about devices, you're worried about your children, you're worried about the next generation, you're worried about what it does to you or what's happening. I want you to know something very important. This is not unique to us here in 2023. This is not unique to us in the 21st century. This has happened before, it will happen again. Generations get concerned about the next generation because they are living a different lifestyle, and there's a weird kind of ebb and flow and adaptation, and part of that is responsible wisdom on the part of people to realize what's going on. Missy.
So while the concept is not new, the magnitude is, right?
Thank you. Magnitude is. Specifically, what used to be isolated to small pockets of the population in large cities of a particular lifestyle is now becoming everyone across the globe forever, and is now becoming faster and faster access and cycles that are repeating themselves very quickly. And things are changing very quickly. I don't want to talk about that. Okay, the reason you guys are here tonight, two things. You want to know why we need parental controls and how to do them. We've talked about a lot of reasons of what's going on, who we are, what we are as humans. That has happened before. I've talked incessantly for the last 45 minutes. I apologize. Let's talk about these actual things as the tools that they are. Cool? If you would, please grab your phone. We're not just talking about phones, we're talking about computers, we're talking about your smart fridge, we're talking about your car, we're talking about all of these tools as devices. I want to talk to you about what these devices are meant to do as a tool so that we can see when they're not doing those jobs. Cool? Thumbs up if you want to know about tools. Thumbs down if you're like, I'm bored. It's okay. All right, devices as tools. What's the point? Why did we make devices in the first place? Why did we have Palm Pilots? Go for it. Who remembers a Palm Pilot? Palm Pilot? BlackBerry? I'm calling this nodes of usefulness. Very fancy. What are the areas of life that devices are supposed to assist us in? The whole point of these things in the first place is to be our assistants, not to be our masters. Right? Does that sound familiar? That there was something that was supposed to serve people, but not be over people? I remember something like that from 2,000 years ago. The Sabbath. I love that passage. The Sabbath was made for man, not man for the Sabbath. Devices were made for man, not man for devices. Let's talk about what they were supposed to do. One, hey, they're supposed to entertain you. I played Snake on my dad's Palm Pilot as a kid. There's games, there's videos and Netflix. Who has a TV that has a smart TV? All right, who's got Netflix on the TV or Amazon Prime or something like that? Yep. Who watches movies? Who goes to fun places with their car? Part of what these devices exist for is to entertain us or to help us in achieving like some kind of entertainment. Question to the crew, to the audience. Entertainment, best done alone? Is entertainment, like, should you go to movies by yourself? Who here has gone to the movies by themselves on a regular basis? Or okay, like, and felt really good about it?
We've gone to the movies or watched it?
Gone to a movie theater by themselves and been like, this is the best. My wife is laughing because she would enjoy that deeply. Okay, who likes going to places with their friends and family? I didn't catch anybody not raising their hands. Let's make a joke. Okay. Okay, two, productivity. Oh, sorry, on entertainment. Entertainment is best done shared together. What's weird about this little device is how easy is it for me to share this screen between me and my wife? Okay, how easy is it for me to share this screen with all of you? Not great. The nature of these being small makes them hard to share and interact with each other. That is not a product of the fact that devices exist or that they're evil or anything. It's just the natural of the fact that they are handheld size. They are solo usage size. And so we just need to keep that in our mind. We need to be aware of that fact. We'll talk about that later. 2, productivity. Devices make the world go around for one reason. They make money. There you go. They allow us to do accounting and finance. They allow us to do shipment tracking. They allow us to do inventory, hours tracking. It's easier to log your employees and to have them clocking in and out with a punch card. Everything is cheaper to be done electronically. Paper is comparatively super expensive. And so societies and cultures that are still paper, does Egypt still do everything like on paper? You have to go get everything signed if you want to get like a new car and stuff? Yep, okay. There's a reason Egypt falls behind economically over time, and one of the reasons they're falling behind economically right now is they never converted to electronic, and it's a huge upfront cost for every society to do so, but it pays off exponentially. Productivity is one of the points that devices were designed to be useful, and believe it or not, even though we're all here, they actually do that job very well, and we're all not here really asking for them to do that better. They're doing it perfectly fine. 3, devices for education. It's crazy how cool it is that you can learn almost every language today. You can learn even Upper Egyptian Arabic if you're a white guy, or at least you can look it up and try. Like, everything is available because of devices in a way that education just wasn't. You can do an online course for college. You don't have to go to a campus. You can do it online. You can do it at night classes. You can get that degree. There is something very impressive about our ability to get education done for ourselves in these particular ways that used to be exclusive to a library. That library is now available in everyone's hands. Cool. Moving along, relationships. Who here has grandparents? Okay, who here has parents? Okay, okay. Who here will be in trouble if they don't call or talk to their parents in the next week? There's a lot of people not raising their hands. I know would be in trouble. Calling your parents is using these devices. Who here FaceTimes with their parents or lets their kids FaceTime with their grandparents? This is relationship. Who here who here used to have, before phones were a thing, used to carry around with them a pocket of photos, like the whole folder of photos. Photos, yes. And you show them to people on the airplane or on the bus or something like that, yeah, and talk about your grandchildren. Okay. Who here has Instagram? Or has had Instagram? 1, 2, 3, come on. Who here's had Instagram? Who here's had some sort of social media app? Okay, what do you use that social media app for? Interacting with people. Socializing. Finding weird products that were sent to you just because you said something out loud next to your neighbor and you didn't realize what was going on. Yeah, relationships. So these are what devices are meant to do. This is what I would say they are designed to do. And that's it. If you're wondering what your device is supposed to do, this is it. And I want to be very clear. This is the extent of it. If you're expecting your device to do more than this, you might be barking at the wrong tree. Your device cannot increase your spirituality. It can let you read the Bible and increase your education of the Bible, but it cannot increase your spirituality. Your device can connect you with other Christians, so you guys can have relationships, but it does not connect you to God. It cannot connect you with your children. It cannot actually do the work that it means that you want it to do. Or wish it to do. It does not make you smarter. It gives you access to education. It does not make you more productive. It gives you access to tools of productivity. It does not make you more entertained. It gives you access to the opportunities of entertainment. I'll get into that. So, for instance, a chessboard has the same opportunity for entertainment as somebody who likes chess as the chess app does. And games on the phone have the same opportunity for entertainment that those games would in real life, if they were not just digital things. They also have another part of them. Let's go to the next slide. Unintentionally harmful design. Okay, the next two slides are exactly what I am qualified to talk about. So here's my part. Do you have questions? This is the question time. Sound good? I know people are fading out. We haven't stood up to play another game in a little while. I apologize. Unintentionally harmful design. Phone applications and web applications are set up to take 100% of your attention, generally speaking, not on purpose. Generally speaking, this is not on purpose. They are designed to take 100% of your attention. We're sorry. Totally didn't mean to do that. Yesterday, I sat in a meeting where we went through an onboarding seminar for the company I work for, and we went through an entire form, and we were talking about customer retention rates. And we said, on this form, we lose 20% of our customers when we had a previous design. With this new design, we only lose 3% of our customers on this form. And we're all very proud of it. Yay, very good job. I wasn't there for that. Like I didn't work on that part. Very cool, right? Like we made up 17% customer retention. We kept 17% of people's attention. Now, nobody in my office is malicious. Nobody's thinking, how do I keep people's attention? They're just doing their jobs. We noticed that people were going away on a certain screen. We changed the screen so that people would not go away. That's it. And we did it through a little A/B testing. Pretty standard stuff. Every company out there is doing the same thing. There are hundreds of thousands, possibly millions of companies out there doing the same thing. And they're all competing for your attention. And there are all developers just like me who are going, maybe I can make it like 4% to move this thing over here. I can do this thing over here. No one's thinking, oh, this is taking up someone's time in their day. This is unintentionally harmful design. Okay. What are things that cause unintentionally harmful design? There are things that we do not control. In 2004, there were about 100,000 apps launched to the App Store. 4 of those are still in use today. One of those is called Facebook. Who here has ever used Facebook? Ever used Facebook? I just want everyone to see the show of hands here. Who here has ever gotten a flu? The flu. If you look around, it's the same number of hands. And this is because of something I like to call virality. Facebook won out in a marketplace of ideas where other websites didn't, because it happened to be the flu. It happened to just be the one sickness that got out, broke out, and everybody got it. It became viral. There were 100 other applications just like Facebook the day Facebook was on the App Store. They didn't make it. They weren't as viral. They weren't as contagious. Facebook was. Virality is something that causes us to want to engage with these attention grabbers. I think it's the secondary aspect. Thing number 2, we like, as humans, instantaneous validation. We love instantaneous validation. Who here has had children in church? Who here has given their children in church coloring books so they would be quiet? I probably will too. I'm not any better. Kids like instantaneous validation. They get bored. And we want them to be quiet. Because when they're bored, they do things, say things, wander around, start touching people, that kind of stuff. It's hard for us as humans to be bored. And it's hard for us to learn and become mature that we can be bored for a certain amount of time. And it's especially hard for us if there's something in front of us that every time we press a button, it gives us what we want, which is a dopamine hit. Touch, touch, touch. Nicole pointed out to me a while ago that I was just pulling out my phone, opening it, going to YouTube, looking at the front page of YouTube, and then closing YouTube out and closing my phone. And I would do that about 3 or 4 times every 5 minutes. Because in my head, YouTube is a place where I can go watch a video about something about engineering or learn something new or do something fun, but it's always that dopamine hit. I feel like I'm learning, and so I'm giving myself that dopamine hit, so I'm always just opening up to the dopamine hit. I'm always opening up that point of instantaneous validation. Or people who post on Instagram consistently or who are posting on social media, TikTok, Snapchat, want that feedback from others all the time. Instantaneous validation is something that exists in these devices because it is more difficult for us to program devices to not have this. It is more difficult for me as a developer to program a program that does not give you instantaneous validation. I can create an app where when you post a photo and people like it, it tells you immediately that they liked it. It is very difficult for me to say, to wait a whole day and at noon tomorrow tell them all these people liked it. And there's no reason I would do that because of virality. You're gonna go to the app that will tell you that people liked it right away. We're not gonna go to the app that says tomorrow at noon will tell you who liked your post. I see a lot of faces kind of glazing over or getting tired, that's okay. Any questions about that? Who here uses a computer for work? Who here would use that computer for work if every time they clicked, it waited 5 seconds to do the thing they clicked on? You would use that computer? You would not throw it out the window? Click it, and then you can wait 5 seconds, and it clicks it on the screen. That experience, like everybody just got frustrated a little bit. I just felt that from the room. Everybody just got frustrated, like click, okay, click, okay, click. That's even faster than the 5 seconds I'm talking about. We like instantaneous validation. Our technology is built on the idea that when you do a thing, it should respond. Second thing, unintentionally harmful design. Call to action. I gotta tell you where things are. Did you know that the call to action that's in your phone that tells you what to do and when to do it is the same exact idea of this slide? How else would Nicole know to be on this slide? The font is large. They're associated in particular ways. Your eyes read left to right if you're an English speaker, right to left if you're an Arabic speaker. You know where to look on a screen when you're looking at a particular language. That is called a call to action. The same principles that make things accessible also make them addictive. And if I do a better job at a call to action than the next program, I will win your attention. Because you are not going to use something that's more frustrating just for the sake of it. Okay. Infinite scrolling. This is an invention of 2004. 2004. This is an invention that we came up after the 90s because we needed a new way to process data on HTML that was being transported over servers. We created this thing called infinite scrolling. I wasn't there, I was in high school. But as a developer, I'm sorry. Infinite scrolling has become one of the worst parts of technology probably because it gives you infinite access to more and more information. It just turns out to be a very easy way to make server connections and to send data packets. I have nothing else but any questions about infinite scrolling. I can explain it in depth, but I don't think anybody here is like wanting to know what's going on with that. You can ask them later. And then lastly, the thing that really brought all of unintentional harmful design to bear is the lockdown. Nothing made app stores and phones and everything explode in usage and the importance of each of these points than everybody being forced to stay home for an extended period of time. You would think that because everyone was staying home, more apps got out to the App Store, more apps were destroyed than got out. Because people were selective because they had so much time to spend and there was so much effort and people could very clearly see what was working and what wasn't. And so there was a larger funnel of attention given to a select group of applications versus a large number of people going out to a broad number of applications. When people don't notice that something is more frustrating, they're more likely to use it. If you're just using it randomly, between things that you're doing, you're more likely to not notice it. But when you're at home for hours, you're going to use it. Okay, I do want to keep moving. So that's unintentionally harmful design. Any questions about any unintentional harmful design?
Yeah, I have a little of comment on the topic actually. So I wouldn't say that it's unintentional. I think it's more of like a business.
Yeah.
Or trying to get people's attention to sell something, for example, from advertisement. So it's just like unintentionally, yeah, but subconsciously it could be that. But at the same time, you're doing it deliberately and you're researching it to bring people's attention to that app so that you'll get money tomorrow, you'll get paid. Thank you.
Totally agree. I think the unintentional part of it is that it's taking over lives. Is the part I'm trying to get as unintentional. I don't think of like what I do each day as like it's going to spend all of your time. I think of what I do each day as like I'm filling out this form I'm creating a form so you can access my product.
I think that maybe what you meant is that it's not like a conspiracy theory. That it's not like that there's some evil force that is purposely trying to manipulate us and then purposely putting these, they are trying to manipulate us, but for money, not for evil. Not for.
If you want to comment on that, give me 1 sec. Okay.
I cannot wait to see your next slide.
Okay, next slide. Intentionally harmful design. There are evil forces actually trying to hurt you, and let's talk about it.
Before we just go to intentionally, we could say the same about drugs. Someone is not making money out of it. It's just a business for him.
Right.
He's not everyone to go there. Just go get fun. I will make money. Let's make everyone happy.
Innovation.
I don't see it as an excuse.
Yeah, I don't think I like the way that you just framed that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
he could see it this way. He would justify it to himself. I will get some money, business, and
Sure.
you get the fun. Everyone is happy. So
Well,
it's still intentionally.
The local drug dealer and Pfizer. Like, like both are gonna. Everyone knows that innovation and effort costs time energy. Like the time energy unit. We just happen to call it the dollars. The time energy unit that you're compensated for. And so, like everything that we do needs to be compensated for time energy units, unless we are being charitable. Okay, let's talk about intentionally harmful design. You're not crazy. You are not wrong. People are out to do harm to you, and it's real, but it might not be what you think, and we're going to talk about that, and we're going to get very into the details. Sorry, give me 10 minutes on this one. Intentionally harmful design. There is an app called Douyin, owned by a company called Douyin. Douyin is an app that is half owned by the Chinese Communist Party. It is an application that is designed to allow people to view videos in an infinite scrolling pattern that will curate their videos to allow them to see certain videos that they would find entertaining. It is also programmed to show a surprising number of STEM, that is science, technology, math, and engineering, STEM videos every 5th video, and it shows a pro-patriotic or pro-family or pro-state government video every sixth video, every 30th video, 5 times 6. So every 30th video is like a pro-family, pro-local, like pro-Chinese religion, which is Confucianism, so it's like the state, ideas. Okay, so every 5th video is like math or engineering, and every 30th video is like a pro-community video. This is Douyin. It has another name here in America called TikTok. Douyin has some pretty cool rules. Children under 14 years old are not allowed to use Douyin between 6 p.m. at night or 10 p.m. at night and 6 a.m. in the morning, because the Chinese Communist Party is very much aware that the primary job of children is to make friends, and that friends and relationships for children compete in a space which is digital today and at school. That's their primary job, is to make friends. We might think it's education, it's not, it's to make friends. They're very much aware of this. This is why they designed this app this way. They shut the app down for anyone under 14 because they know they have no ability to self-regulate. Douyin, for children 14 to adulthood, lets them know when they've been using it too much and encourages them to, and during finals, shuts the entire app down. TikTok has none of these rules. In fact, TikTok goes out of its way to show videos that specifically undermine community values, that specifically undermine American values, and undermine religious values. Every 5th and every 30th video. TikTok is actually designed to separate children from their parents. Because the Chinese Communist Party is aware of 2 things. They cannot win us in a war, and they're going to lose in the population fight. So they will win in a culture battle. TikTok has been banned off of all government phones here in Texas. It will be banned off of the App Store, and we will probably have to rethink the First Amendment because of this app. It is that big of a deal. TikTok actively accesses all of your local area network devices and creates profiles for all members of your family on your local area network and anyone who accesses your local Wi-Fi. If you've never used TikTok, but you use a Wi-Fi of somebody who does use TikTok, it is creating a profile of you for the CCP. This is an act of state espionage. This is the craziest thing that has ever happened technologically.
What's the difference between Facebook tracking the same info?
Facebook does not work for the CCP.
Yeah.
Outright.
Okay. It's someone knowing about people.
The difference is
China's trying to destroy your family.
I
Yeah.
get it. I'm not defending this one
Big-
the answer. I got it.
big data is the how much you interact with it. The thing with Facebook and TikTok is Facebook lost the fight. They can have all that info, but who here is using Facebook today? And nobody raised their hands. Like, you guys, okay. Today, literally today, who used Facebook? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. Who used TikTok today? I know I just harped on it, but you're okay. 1.
Just partially, sorry for commenting on this.
Yeah.
It's a matter of, we will allow the tracking, but when we see that the intention are wrong, we will stop.
Yeah, so data tracking versus undermining is what is the difference. Data tracking, I'm not going to say a super big deal. Tracking your data and creating profiles of people who are consenting to it, so everybody here who signed up for Facebook consented for them to build profiles on us, that's a consent that you made. It's unconsented building of profiles is kind of the problem here, I would say. Specifically for the point of creating something like a social credit score. Okay. I like conspiracies. I'm a big conspiracy theory buff, that kind of stuff, I know. I'm trying to separate out that part of me for this point, which is, this point is actually something I felt was big enough of a deal to come to the entire church on and say, please be aware of what this is doing. Now, will you be able to go to your children to get rid of TikTok? Because man in front of the church said so. Like, don't do that. As parents, as wise friends of other people with children, this is a conversation to be had about what needs to happen next. It needs to be done in love, it needs to be done with wisdom. It cannot just happen because somebody got very riled up. Okay? There are alternatives to TikTok which are awesome that do something very similar, but you can do what you need as people.
So in support of what you're saying, the University of Texas has banned TikTok from their networks. So,
They're a government entity, yeah.
yes,
Yeah, the entirety of Texas has banned it. The entirety of Washington D.C. has banned TikTok. Like, nobody can have it. It's a complete disaster. Okay, I said 10 minutes. That was 5 minutes ago. Why? Two things combined. Eyesight tracking. TikTok tracks your eye movement. This is crazy. This has never been utilized before. Snapchat came out with a really cool thing a number of years ago. You guys maybe remember it? Like, people were like taking like turning their face into animals. It was like really cute. You could like add things to it. Who remembers that? Like, you could send those photos to each other. Okay, so this was called augmented reality facial mapping. It was very cool software that came out a while ago, and it was used for very harmless points of view. TikTok figured out that they can track your eyes. So they made a program that tracks your eye movement, so it knows when you're looking at something, and it knows that it can entice you to looking at something even more interesting.
How?
Yeah.
How?
The front-facing camera on your phone has gotten very good at detail, and there's a program, which is this augmented reality facial mapping technology, which just got very good over time. We just made it really good. And it got so good that we can track the variations in eye movement. Nobody thought to use this the way TikTok is using it until TikTok. Maybe they did, they just thought that's a terrible idea, let's not do that. But nobody really implemented it on this scale. The second point is probably the most advanced attention retention algorithm ever created by mankind. These 2 points are not just TikTok. This is not me hating on TikTok. This is me going and telling you any application that implements these 2 things from now on in perpetuity for the rest of time is going to be dangerous. This is the first danger of many to come. If they implement the ability to do facial tracking and an advanced retention algorithm, even if they have good intentions, it will run out of control. There's nothing, like, why would they stop trying to gain another 1.1% of your attention if it's bringing them billions of dollars? There's no reason for them to stop, especially if they don't have Christ at the center of their hearts. So it's not just TikTok. It's going to be any app or application that does this here into the future. This is why we have to become a wise community about this now. 2, extended user group analysis. This is what I was talking about earlier. It is very important for different groups of people to be classified for the point of marketing. It is much easier for me to, if I'm going to sell bottles and pacifiers, I do not want to accidentally hit 20-year-old men living in Texas, or living in New York, right? 20-year-old men living in New York are not going to buy bottles and pacifiers. Mothers, late 20s, 30s, they buy bottles and pacifiers. I want to make sure I'm actually marketing to the right crew. So these are just called user groups. Extended user groups are profiles that are created without consent from different devices and different applications on people. This is used to some extent in applications similar to Facebook. Facebook was accused of doing this. They figured out that they were actually doing it. They shut it down back in like 2014. We don't know if they're doing it anymore. They say they're not, but there's that. Any application that does extended user group analysis like this is going to be yellow light. Maybe not red light, but yellow light. anything that has local network device access and actively tries to hack your local network devices is dangerous. Israel came out with a virus called the Pegasus a number of years ago. It was a huge deal. Anyone who's over the age of 30 probably remembers the Pegasus scandals. A huge number of American diplomats were found to have Pegasus viruses on there, and diplomats from Egypt and everywhere were found to have Pegasus viruses on their computers. This was a huge issue. This was just targeted at diplomats, just for collecting data. That's it. An app that doesn't target anybody but collects all the data also hits diplomats, also hits everybody. You don't know when or where you're going to need to keep data secret. You don't know when or why. It's your health data. A number of apps are sending ladies information to governments. Yeah, it's crazy. Last two things, operant conditioning and artificial scarcity. Operant conditioning is something I cannot talk at length about, but there are a number of people in here, I believe, who do understand operant conditioning. But essentially, one of the things that apps, some of these apps, specifically TikTok, is trying to do is trying to figure out if it can train you. If it can train you into liking certain things. If it can train you into purchasing certain things. And it will ask a question, it will show you something over and over again between two things it knows you like to see if you'll start associating with something that you like. And so that you'll purchase or that you will utilize. So maybe, let's come to a worst case scenario, a Coptic teenager is interested in Orthodoxy, actually wants to get into the Bible and starts looking at things like that, but starts putting Bible verses, starts experiencing these things. But in between those two things, it's a very empathetic video about somebody who is an atheist. Just very empathetic, very heartwarming. Maybe it's their own story about how they were hurt by people who are religious. And it starts putting those things in between those. Now, on the face of it, we might need to tell that teenager, you know what, yeah, bad things happen. You should feel sympathy for that person. That is real, that is empathetic. I'm proud of you for being empathetic for that person. We should pray for them. Over time, there's a goal of training that person. And it's going to flip that from Bible verse, empathetic story, Bible verse, to empathetic story about hating religion, Bible verse, empathetic story about hating religion. This is part of operant conditioning. And then lastly is artificial scarcity or fear of missing out. TikTok is everywhere. It's infinite. Apps like it are everywhere and infinite. Instagram is everywhere. It's infinite. You can always get validation. And yet, people who are addicted to it believe they are missing out if they are not posting or watching. Children are aware that they are actually missing out, by the way. If you were wondering why children are so susceptible to these memes and videos and that kind of stuff, they know they don't have the latest thing to talk about at school, that they'll actually be shunned. Which is a real problem. That's not just because of your kids or that's just the nature of being a kid. You don't know the latest cool stuff. It's going to be hard to have relationships. So there's that. Okay, that's intentionally harmful design. That was 13 minutes. Sorry. That's the hardest part of this talk. We're going to get happier from here, I promise. Cool? Okay, questions about intentionally harmful design? Concerns? Anybody just want to scream? Anybody want to punch something?
I don't want to be jumping, but with this, as you said, fear of missing out, you cannot just go and tell a kid, no, can't. So the harm and the evil is there, or the harm is there, and now it's a losing battle. You are stepping there. You know, if you force him, you need to do a lot of build up on what he feels he lost or whatever it is. It's the right. It's good for him. I know it is. But
Battle versus the war.
Okay.
Right? You are correct. It's a losing battle. Can you win the war?
Sorry, but you can't really lose a battle if you've never even participated in the game in the first place. And if you've never been aware of all this, you've never been involved, now you know. So now you could start engaging
Yeah.
in in conversation, and then now you're trying to participate.
My hope is that, so one of the reasons I want to do this talk now, for this exact point, is that we're about to have a baby, and 10 years from now, I need all of you to reinforce in Hudson that, hey, like, actually, you don't need to do that. Or here, let me show you this cool thing that I like to. Let me show you this Bible verse that I love. But let me do this thing with you, as your as your uncle here in the church, or as your auntie here in the church. Like, let me be this source of interaction that you feel like you're missing out on. Or let me teach you how to be bored.
And just
Just based on this point, it's not always white and black. Someone is trying to make money out of it, business, good intention, I will make useful videos, I will be using it to make money out of it. It's not always a rational argument.
Totally agree.
You are a software engineer, you were capable to give us this eye-opening facts.
Yes.
Without it, I'm just seeing a software that could be for business. That's why in my comparison, I compared it to Facebook. For me, both are using me.
Correct.
So, but again, I'm just getting from the fact that we are talking about business. I will use it. Most of kids now dream to be the YouTuber. YouTube is good. It's on our side, so okay. But it's still they dream to make the money or living out of it. Right. TikTokers, I heard 300K or something a month. It depends on how popular you were, and lots of people actually doing it, American and everything. How you would, it's not how you would fight this counter argument, but I'm trying to say it's not easy not to be in the battle.
Right.
It's good if you are not in the battle. Definitely, this would save you a lot of trouble. But there is no guarantee that I'm always out of the battle. You could be dragged without you even know that this is a battle. That's my main.
This is my call to action. I'm telling you, there are two battles that are correct. Facebook is a battle, and TikTok is a battle. I'm telling you, one of these is worth fighting, and one of them is not. TikTok is worth fighting. Anything like TikTok is worth fighting.
So our kids are continually bombarded by things that are on TikTok, right? And so they are continually being fed with ideology that is counter to what we teach in here. And they're absorbing that ideology, and they're absorbing these 2-minute apologists who say something superficial that sounds right? And they're like, oh yeah, and then they're being fed more TikToks like that, and then they start to build something inside of them that when they come here and they hear things, either they're gonna be shut down, and they're not gonna share what they actually think, right? And then just completely dismiss what we're saying, or they're gonna be angry because we're so close-minded and we don't know what we're talking about, and backwards. So I think that we have to know what's being said so that we can have conversations with our kids and ask them pointed questions about, hey, how do you feel about this? Or when somebody says this, or watch a TikTok together and say, and help them to be able to discern what is being true in the TikTok, right? But when you're talking about with empathy, and what actually is counter to Christianity. Because it's very subtle, but the more you watch them, the more it's easy to be like, oh, okay, and accept. So for me personally, who has kids past high school, I think that you should take this seriously. I mean, y'all should take it very, if you have little kids, you should take this very seriously.
We're gonna get into some helpful tips and that kind of stuff. Okay, there. Okay, I have been going hard for over an hour. I'm gonna try to wrap this up in the next 20 minutes. In the next 20 minutes, I'm gonna try to give you information on how to fight this battle, how to help each other, how to be loving, what kind of things to say, do, how to do this at home, tools to be utilizing, all that kind of stuff. You're gonna need your phones. We're gonna be moving through this kind of quick. Sound good?
Yes.
Okay. So that's what's going on. That's all the why. That's all the that's all of the things. You're a human. You have these things. You want to be stimulated, but you need to learn. we need nourishment, but we are being given a pacifier. That's what these devices are. They are pacifying us over time. They are literally pacifying us. The newest generation is one of the most illiterate generations that's come out of America in the last 100 years. It's crazy. So we are being pacified. Let's go to the next slide. We need to create a device culture. I'm going to make a reference to smoking now in church, which is a weird reference to smoking in church, but this is the only and best reference I have in my own personal life, so I apologize. Okay? In college, I used to smoke, because in college, lots of people used to do dumb things. And one time, I was smoking in the morning, and my professor came to me and said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "I'm smoking. Should I stop?" And he's like, "No, you're smoking before noon. Why are you doing that? That's disgusting." No one smokes before noon. That's gross. What a weird rule. That is a rule that existed, I guess, back in the 80s. I don't know. I wasn't there. About smoking. And that you shouldn't do it in the morning. For some reason. I don't know. I wasn't there. This idea being, because I wasn't raised in a culture that did these things, I had no regulation, self-regulations, no rules, no ideas about what was right, what was wrong, or that kind of thing. When I came into Orthodoxy, better example, when I came into Orthodoxy, I had no idea where to stand, when to do the cross, when I was supposed to, how to pray. I still can't figure out which saints to invoke, and then when I do that before or after the Our Father. I'm still really struggling with that. You saw me trying to do Agbeya earlier. It wasn't working out. So I am trying to learn the culture. You can all do it because you have a culture. You know where to be, when to be, and you're not even thinking about it. It's just healthy. It's like breathing. You just know when to be somewhere, you know what to do, you know how to do it, and it's not a decision you're making, it's a response or a reflex that you have. And you know when something's wrong and how to fix it, and you know when something's right and how to participate in it. And you don't have to think about making a whole decision about it, you just do it. That's a culture. We do not have a device culture. That means we have an opportunity here at Holy Cross Coptic Orthodox Church. We can make one. We can make an entire culture about devices, just in our little community here. We can work with our kids. As long as all of them are consistent, it's pretty easy, actually. So this is an opportunity for us as a community to make a culture. It can't be top down. We all have to kind of come up with some decisions in our family units and just let that naturally evolve. It has to be bottom up. There are two things that happen in a culture. Cultures enable certain behaviors and they disable other behaviors. Not as judgment, just as here's how you get stuff done. So let's talk about what to enable and what to disable. Cool? All right. What is appropriate for children? Let's just get this out of the way. What's appropriate for kids? Between 0 and 2 years old, 0 screen time is appropriate for children. 0. 0 hours a day is appropriate for children. It will cause neurological problems, probably. We're still finding out that data.
I'm a child and adolescent psychiatrist. I see children that have really hard problems. Some of that is family inflicted, some of that is environmental inflicted, and some of that is genetics, that kind of thing. I see some really, really bad cases, really, really horrible cases. And it was interesting to me, and part of my continuing medical education, part of my continuing education, there have been studies about electronics, and I see children all the time, they bring their, and I see adults too, they bring their kids, and they silence the kid. What do you think they give the 1-year-old? Okay? Yeah, screen, all the time. So they're not talking about maybe 1 hour a day. They're talking about, this is multiple hours a day that they're giving it, but the studies show 0 screen time. 0. That's it, and I can show you the studies. I can show you the papers. Don't argue with me. It's just something to show you. That's it. That's what I was showing you. That's what I showed you.
For it says 5 and up, it's still being researched. What would you say is a guideline for 5 and up as a general?
So I would, now we're talking about content, and we want, sometimes the Some of it is the content, some of it is quality watching time, that means with a parent. So it can't be instead of a parent.
We'll get into that.
Yeah.
Okay. 0 to 2 years old, for those in the back, 0 screen time. 2 to 5 years old, 1 hour a day, high quality. When I get into what makes something high quality. 1 hour a day, max, high quality. What are we talking about here? Why this is? Nothing for babies. Again, back to this idea like making things for money. Developers who make children's content, we know like that McDonald's figured out in the 80s which colors children like. That's not a mystery. We know there's a certain color scheme children like and that they'll interact with. You need big blocks, you need certain, like the reason Duplos are the size they are, the reason the blocks children play with are the size they are. And so all I have to do as a developer is just draw that on the screen and send it off. Like I know what's gonna keep your child's attention, and it's not a mystery. And if I make an app that is 5% less retentive than the next app, my app dies. And I don't get to take Hudson to Disneyland or whatever, or to Six Flags, and we're here in Texas. You know, like that's what happens. I don't get paid. And so I'm not actually a child. I'm not gonna make this up. So you have to be very thoughtful about what your child sees. They're being shown things that will activate pathways for the least resistance. That's what we're coding for. We have to, or we get fired. So that's that. 5 and up still doing research because this is all actually pretty new. Like what are the effects long term? This is all actually pretty new. So we're gonna talk about high quality, what that means. So creating a device culture at home. I made a joke earlier today to a coworker of mine. I was telling him about this. Let's set, it says creating a device culture at home. Set proper expectations. If you are inconsistent of your expectations of your children, they will know you are inconsistent, and they will trust you to be inconsistent in everything, including this. Set proper expectations of your children at home. Be consistent with those expectations. Be a good role model of what you ask. I'm gonna be mean. I am guilty of this. Every kid here at church who looks at their phone has a parent here at church who looks at their phone in church. I paid attention to that this whole time. Every kid who looks at their phone here in church has a parent who looks at their phone here in church. I'm going to be guilty of this as well. I know that of myself. I'm an addict of my phone. We have to be proper role models. Your kids will only do what they see you doing. That's so true, or that's not true? They will only do what they see you doing? They will just do it worse. Sorry. Okay. Kids don't act in ways they don't know how to act, is my point. They might be learning something somewhere else at school or somewhere else from a different culture, but if they don't know it exists, how are they? No one's paying attention to the giant purple elephant in the back of the room right now. Because there isn't. We don't, as humans, do things we don't know how to do, we don't even know about. Your children will, if you set a proper example, it's the best bet they have at being that proper example as well. If you do not set a proper example, there is no chance. Ask interested questions. I have a list of interested questions to help you out later. So if you're wondering what an interested question is, I can help guide that. Ask interested questions. Actually know what your kids are doing with their devices. Actually know what you are doing with your devices. I can't express how many people are surprised when I tell them, hey, like, what kind of data are you looking at? And they're like, data? They're like, I'm looking at my screen. And I was like, yeah, but what data is that? What's the thing on your screen? Nobody even thinks about the fact that what they're looking at is just stylized data all the time. Encourage self-regulation. This is probably the hardest thing. Reward children who set down their phone. Give that dopamine hit that TikTok is giving to your kids whenever they self-regulate, if you can, or in the proper, meaningful points. Please talk to a psychiatrist. There's one right here. Avoid micromanaging. Who here works? Who here has a manager? Who here has been micromanaged? Ever? Really? Only like 5 people have ever been micromanaged? 6 people? We all know what micromanaging is like. I think, pretty much everyone responds poorly to it. I don't know. Avoid micromanaging your kids on their devices. They'll just shut down. But you do want to check in on a regular basis. Maybe that's weekly. Maybe that's at dinner. Maybe that's at dinner when there are no phones at the table. Maybe that's at dinner when there are no phones at the table and the parents don't have phones at the table and they're not taking calls from work. And they're not responding to a work email. And lastly, teach your children to be good digital citizens. There's a new frontier. It's the new Wild West, which is the internet. The digital citizenship is a real thing. How to stay protected. You are going to teach your children to look both ways before they cross the road, correct? You don't teach your children to get rid of cars. Why not? Yeah, but you can tell them like, hey, we should vote all when you're 18 and start voting to get rid of cars.
Because it's useful.
Because it's useful. You teach them to look both ways before they cross the road because that's what being a good citizen does. And that's how you stay safe. Teach your children to be good citizens. Teach them all the things you're going to teach them about normal life, but teach them how to do that on the computer. Who here knows everything they need to know about being a good digital citizen? Raise your hand. Mine's not up either. I do not know everything I need to know. I'm going to be learning. This is a learner's journey. Who here knows everything they need to know to be a good American citizen? I was born in it, so I don't know. Who here knows everything they need to know to be a good Christian citizen? Everyone?
Hopefully everybody.
I feel like love is a pretty big part of that. We're always learning. Okay, so that's creating a device culture at home. Any questions, any ideas, any thoughts? This is the one that I think is the most important probably for us to stick on for just a second. Who has a good idea of what it would mean to do something at home that's being a good digital citizen?
You mean rules to the kids, for example?
For yourself.
Oh, myself. Well, okay, let me rephrase it. I had this screen time. I do it for my kids. I did it for myself.
Nice.
I know the passcodes. I always overwrite it. But when I get the reports, I know that, okay, I'm keeping within my limits. Oh, this week I exceeded terribly. This week I did a little bit better. So it's kind of...
I could not have explained that better than you just did. Thank you so much. Let's go to the next slide. Screen time measurement! Everyone pull out your phones. If you have an Android, your QR code is on the right. If you have an Apple, your QR code is on the left. Please come scan this QR code. Turn on your screen time.
Only 5 minutes.
5 minutes left? Okay, sorry.
No, I meant when the
Oh, for your screen time?
parents ask the children, 10 minutes only, then 10 minutes go into 1 hour.
This is your hammer as a carpenter. This is your sword as a warrior. This is your car for commuting. Screen time management is your most helpful tool. It doesn't do anything special. It just tells you how often you're looking at your screen. That's it. What you do with that information is up to you. Because I trust you. And you should trust yourselves. My buddy Michael Takla has a funny saying. He says, anything that is, recorded? Anything that is, oh man, I just ruined this. Anything that is accounted for gets 25% better immediately. When you start looking at your screen time weekly, you start reviewing your screen time with friends and family, even accountability partners here at the church, you will get better about it instantaneously. I'm not even asking you to do anything different. Just have it on and look at it and talk to friends about it. It will naturally get better. I promise. Anybody still need this up? I can also give it to you later. So if you're wondering, if you want to get it done later, I can always show it to you. Cool? Cool. This is going to be animated. It's not animated. Quality versus quantity, screen time. On the bottom, we have low quality, large quantity of time. On the left, we have low quantity, high quality of time. In the golden section is where all the Coptic people want their children to be, and all things school related. I want you to have all of the time, and I want it to be always high quality. Sorry, it doesn't exist. It doesn't exist. Your kids have to sleep at some point. So we can, that was gonna be about immigrant communities joke, but anyway, it's funny. What I want for you all to want is the red. You all earlier, about 85% of you raised your hand saying you wish you had less screen time, right? Who here wishes if they had the same screen time that it was higher quality? If you had to have the same amount, like this next week you're gonna have the same amount of screen time, who wishes it was just a better quality, a higher quality, did more for you? Only like half of you? Like you guys want it? Let's assume everybody here had exactly 10 hours of screen time last week. Exactly. Who here wants that 10 hours to be a higher quality next week? Thank you, everybody's hand should be up. Okay, you should want a higher quality. There's two ways to do that, I think, is either by lowering the quantity, which helps, but doesn't increase the quantity. Lower the quantity, walk this way, can help, but it does not move you up. Only moving you up moves you up. It's a very important point. Only increasing the quality increases the quality. Let's talk about how to do that. Let's talk about high quality things and devices versus high quantity. I know you guys can't read that. I'm going to read this off to you. Quality is a measure of how you derive value from an activity. Quality is a measure of how you derive value from activity. Quality starts off with devices. It starts off and stays low by accident and neglect. Quality starts off low always and stays low by accident and neglect. If you don't teach your children how to read and write, they will never learn how to read and write. If you don't teach your children how to behave, they'll never learn how to behave. Quality of behavior always starts low, always, and it stays low by neglect or accident. Quality comes from training and purpose. Not just training. You cannot just train your kids and expect them to be high quality children, or to be high quality users, or to even train yourself and expect you to be high quality. You cannot force yourself into it. You have to have a sense of purpose. So that purpose has to drive what we're doing to train ourselves to be higher quality. What does that mean? Co-viewing with devices. If you want, Austin, what is something I can go home and do tonight? Pull out your phone, pull up a funny video, watch it together. That's something you can do tonight. Throw it up on the TV, watch it together. Play a game together. Get out the PlayStation together. Don't get out the Xbox together. Don't do things alone. Do them together. First thing you can do immediately, go do it together. You don't have to change it, you don't have to stop it, you don't have to do any of that. Go do it together. Cool? Thumbs up? Okay. Second thing, educational games are really interesting. You would think that they're actually helpful. They're not, unless they are read out loud. The only educational game that is helpful for children is typing. Typing games, that's it. Everything else needs to be read out loud because it is easy to learn how a system works and to just keep pressing the right buttons without ever learning. Educational games are useless unless they are read out loud and there is accountability and conversation happening with them. Minimally, your children have to read it out loud. Being given a task that is completed on the device and that work is reviewed by somebody. Uncle, auntie, I'm here. dad, mom, abuna, somebody needs to, friend, one of their friends needs to review that work. And they need to ask a particular question, not say, oh, that's beautiful, or oh, I'm so proud of you, or I love what you did here. Those are not questions. How did you do that? How? How did you do that? Why did you make these choices, X, Y, and Z? How and why are the most powerful tools for high quality device usage? How and why as a conversation between two people? I'm losing everybody, I apologize. I will wrap this up. How and why? Art, digital paintings, writing poetry, journaling, time management, games. How and why? How did you do that? Show me. Why did you make these choices? What's going on with it? They might not be able to explain it. That means they need to learn more about it. And that's okay. Not being able to explain it is a good answer. That's the first answer. I don't know how to explain this. Cool, let's go back and do it again. Let's figure out how to explain this. Don't get frustrated. High quantity. Quantity is a measure of how much time you spend on activity. Quantity increases by accident or neglect. Quantity decreases with training and purpose. That's the exact inverse. You spend less time doing something that you don't have to do if you're better at it. If you use your device as a babysitter, your child will only know how to be babysat by devices. If you use your device as a pacifier, they will not be nourished. Using social media as a way to keep up with friends instead of calling them. My generation, millennials, and the generation after me, call people less and the generation after them consistently call individuals less and less and less, and they have something called phone anxiety. They're scared of talking to people. The generation beneath me, the Gen Zers, are more technologically illiterate than the millennials were. And the Gen Alpha is the most technologically illiterate generation we've ever seen, including people born in the 40s. Gen Alpha does not know how devices work. They just know how to use them. You cannot ask them to create a Word document for you, or what saving does, or how to turn on the computer. They are technologically illiterate compared to other generations. Grandpas and grandmas know more about devices these days than the youngest generation does. They are not getting smarter.
I'm smart.
You're an exception.
No, that's the important.
That's exactly what he's saying.
People who use typewriters know more about devices than the newest generation does. Because they actually had to function with devices as a tool. Now, that's not to say that some of the people here are not brilliant. It's to say, on average, this is a very technologically illiterate group of people that are coming up. Okay. There's a spider on your leg. Spider says it's time to go home. Okay, setting up parental controls. The reason everyone's here. Here's another thing for you. Apple on the left, Android on the right. These are walkthrough steps about how to set up exact parental controls on your devices. And then I got two more slides for you and we're done. And I will show this to you later. If later you're like, Austin, I need that QR code, come up to me and I will give it to you. Sound good? Can you scroll down just a little bit? Sorry, up. My bad. Just so people can grab that. These are the instructions for Android on the right, Apple on the left, of how to set up exact parental controls. And I'm going to talk to you about what's available to you as a parent and what's not available to you as a parent. Cool? So you can start thinking about what you want to put on parental controls. I'm going to ask for commitment from everybody here. I can't do an oath or anything like that, but I need an agreement. Whatever you set up on your kids' devices, you need to use first. If you do not know what they are experiencing with the regulations you're putting on their devices, you will not be able to understand their frustrations. That includes work. Because the work that you are doing, you feel is more important than the work that they are doing. They don't feel that way. They feel like making friends is as important as the work that you are doing. And they're going to feel the same exact frustrations you're going to feel with the work being blocked by your parental controls. So you're going to set up parental controls, and you want to do so wisely. You need to put those on your device first and try them out before you put them on your kid's device. So just putting that out there. What's available to you? Next slide. What can you control? You can control who your kids communicate with. Do that. There are 40-year-old men who are trying to communicate with your kids. Don't let them do that. Control who your kids communicate with. What kind of content can they see? You should be in charge of that. You should know what they're looking at. How much time can they spend on their device? You should know how much time you're spending on your device. You should know how much time they're spending on their devices. They should know how much time they are spending on their devices. You should have that conversation together. How much money can they spend? This is a control that you have access to. They can spend your money with your devices, believe it or not. So you should probably stop them from spending more money than they should. You should set regulations on how much money they can spend. How private their information is. Children will often just click yes, 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 yes to get to the game that they're playing, but their information that they're agreeing to is being sent off to somebody. You can set their phone so that even if they press yes, it doesn't send it to them. So your children's information is not getting sent out. Something you should look into. How much time do I think you guys should spend on this? I think you should spend about an hour for each of these ideas ever. Not once a week, not once a month, not once a year, just once. Once, do some research. Once, learn about what needs to happen. And once, set up these parameters for your children. And try it out. And for yourself. Cool? All right, next slide. All right, that's pretty much wraps up my talk. I'm going to talk about things that were not addressed in this talk. Here's just a short list of things that I have not talked about. Devices during and after the lockdown, what happened there. Talked a little bit about that, but not in depth. Taking away devices as punishment. I have an interesting argument. I don't know if this is a good argument or not. You be the judges of this argument. Who here takes away their kids' toys if they misbehave? My mom took away my toys. Who here punishes their children like in non-corporal ways if they need punishment or discipline? Okay. Who grounds their kids if they need to be grounded? One of the things you're probably never going to take away from your kid is my argument. I don't know if it's good or not. I'll try it with my kid. Is you'll never take away their room. You'll never take away their bedroom. You'll never say, you were so bad, you have to go sleep in the garage. Now, I haven't seen kids that are super, super bad, maybe super, super bad kids that are put in the garage, but whatever. But there's something about a child's bedroom that can't be ripped away from them. Just, maybe I'm wrong, but think about this, that this digital device is their digital bedroom. It's their space to occupy and interact with the world. That's their own. What that means for you and your family, I'm not about to tell you. I don't know. But that's something just to keep in mind, maybe a conversation to be had with any family unit. Stages of social development. I don't know about this, but this is a real thing. Addiction and dependency with devices. This is a very, very big problem. Dopamine in devices. Something to talk about with a psychiatrist or your pediatric doctor. Pediatrician. When to have conversations with your kids about their devices? I would say at dinner. How to detox from devices. We didn't even talk about that. Like, how do you get your kids to detox from devices? How do you detox from a device?
Austin, what's doom scrolling?
Doom scrolling. Creating anxiety and depression for yourself by looking at things that are terrible. Even though it's true that there was an earthquake in Turkey and Syria, like all you've been looking at is images of the earthquake in Turkey and Syria, you're probably not feeling too good. There's a beautiful verse about doom scrolling in the Bible. It's probably one of the most absolute pointed verses about technology in the Bible. Jesus says, you will hear war of wars and rumors of wars, of disasters and of earthquakes, and of things that will happen. All of these things must come to pass before the Son of Man returns. But fear not, for I have overcome the world. Doom scrolling is doing that. It is being anxious because of wars and rumors of wars and constantly getting into it, reading the news, getting into the 24-hour news cycle. Intentionally harmful design, by the way. Intentionally harmful design is the 24-hour news cycle. If you want to talk about that, it's not just a device. If you don't believe me, try turning it off for a week, see how you feel. So there's that. Okay, questions to ask your family. I promised you these. How do you feel when you've used your phone all day? Ask your kids. How do you feel when you've used your phone all day? Especially on days where you use it more than not. Does using apps like Instagram, Facebook, etc. build your relationship with friends and family? Do you feel like you're actually more connected, less connected? Would you rather have gone out and played outside? What would you like to have done? It's an interesting conversation to have at the dinner table sometime. Not every time, just sometime. What do you like most or least about this app? What do you like about TikTok? What's the funniest video that's on there right now? Can we find a different place where that video is? Can we try to make that video together and we'll throw it on a different platform? If phones and devices weren't a thing, what would you spend your time doing? If it just didn't exist, what would you be up to? What kind of hobby do you want to get into? Why is it important for you to have a device? This is a good one to ask parents, kids. Hey, why is it important for you to have a device? What do you do with it? How much time do you think you should spend on your phone each day? How many emails do you actually have to reply to today? What are the benefits of devices? What are the dangers? I don't think that these have to be asked today or tomorrow or anything like that. I just think these are questions that need to be asked at some point.
At what age do you recommend a smartphone over a flip phone?
I don't recommend smartphones. I mean, I don't think kids need phones, right? Like, when do you need a phone? I think, sorry, kids, 9 years old and under don't need phones, right? Once you start training someone to be an adult, you like start actually training them and having a phone as part of adulthood, then they're probably gonna need that training device with training meals.
If I understand correctly, I think in the high school, the teachers in the school do a lot of stuff on the phone and they tell the kids to plug their phones and assignments and passwords and stuff like that. So I feel like there's no other way. And also I remember back when the kids in middle school and high school, this is 8-9 years ago, they started to do away with books and every kid had to have an iPad.
Yeah. Okay, if you're asking me when am I going to get things for Hudson, I'm going to get Hudson a phone at 11 years old. I'm going to have taught him how to program things on the phone before then. So that way, I'm looking at you, so that way he cannot use devices without knowing what's going on behind them. I'm also not going to give my kid a car until I've taught him how to work on that car. I'm just that kind of weirdo though. So you don't have to be like that, but if you believe as an adult you need a phone and you want your children to become adults, because we are here to raise adults, not children. Children happen by accident, children happen on purpose. The children happen, adults don't. You have to raise adults, you don't raise kids. And so when you start raising that adult, they need a device with training wheels.
I also think that this is like normally set up in the house, but for us, with Susanna, we had a little phone, smartphone as well. When you were a freshman, you get it. I thought, when he was like 3 or 4, first grade, they didn't ask. Expectations. They were like, so is better, and then that was not a problem. Your decision. So, and then the day before high school, they
Setting proper expectations.
that was like, downstairs.
So that's a good conversation to have. I'm pushing 9 p.m. here. So for everyone in the back, they set the expectation when their children were very young that you get a phone when you get into high school. The moment you become a freshman, you get a phone. And the day before that, you don't get a phone. You get it when you go into high school. And so everybody knew that was the expectation, and they held through on that expectation. And so there was never any question. I'm not saying probably never, but that creates a lot more peace than it otherwise could be if it's a question all the time. Great, while they do that, let's finish this up. If you then, being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give good things to those who ask of him? If this feels overwhelming, this feels like there's a lot going on, you have questions, things need to happen, ask your Father in heaven who will give right to you. Maybe do so with each other. These devices, at their worst, separate us into little isolated pods. I'm asking that we create a culture and a community together that breaks that. My name is Austin. I have held you here for 2.5 hours.
Thank you so much.
All right, let's stand up to pray. In the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, amen. Heavenly Father God, I thank you for technology and all the wonderful benefits that we can get from it. Lord, I beg of you to give us wisdom and discernment, Lord, just like money, just like food, just like intimacy, just like work, just like anything in life, Lord. Help us to be good stewards and wise stewards, and to use it for good and for our benefit, and not to let the enemy or the world use us through it. We ask you to please bless and reward the speakers and all those who prepared for this meeting, Lord. All those who are taking care of our children in the fellowship hall. And we ask you to please hear our through intercessions that Mary and I receive some honors to please you from the beginning, so join the prophet and the Ninevites who fasted and repented. The mighty power of the love-giving cross, please, O Lord, make us worthy to pray thankfully, our Father who art in heaven. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses. We forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one. In Christ Jesus our Lord, for thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen. And now the love of God the Father, grace is on the Son, our Lord God and Savior Jesus Christ, the communion, the gift of the Holy Spirit, be with you all. Go in peace, the peace of the Lord be with you. Thank you all. Good night.